The ASX 200 has now climbed for 8 sessions in a row. That's the longest winning streak since August last year, gaining 2.4% in that time. It's now only 2.5% off its February record, and it comes as shares on Wall Street rose overnight following softer inflation indicators, and that's despite warnings from Fed Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell about the potential for higher long-term interest rates.
We may be entering a period of more frequent and potentially more persistent supply shocks, a difficult challenge for the economy and for central banks.
The US Federal Reserve meets next to discuss interest rates in mid-June, with money markets pricing in 2 rate cuts this year. And while the big 4 banks here say an RBA interest rate cut is likely on Tuesday, ANZ said today it's not a near certainty because, in part, of progress in US-China trade talks. Economists at NAB, however, are sticking to predictions for a jumbo 50 basis point cut.
I think the bigger question for the market is actually how many further interest rate cuts are we likely to get until the end of the year. So only weeks back, market was actually pricing around 5 interest rate cuts, including the next week's interest or the maker. But now it's actually scaled back. So we are looking at potentially interest rate cut next week and following through another 3 cuts until the end of the year.
So by the close, the ASX 200 rose 0.6%, closing back above 8,340 points. Property stocks did best alongside healthcare. The Commonwealth Bank touched a new intraday high of almost $173, but later retreated. And the tech sector fell, partially reversing yesterday's gains. In commodities, oil's a little weaker at around $64.5 a barrel, while gold rose to be up 2.4% on yesterday. The Australian dollar gained against the greenback. It's now buying around 64 1/3 US cents and is down against the Japanese yen as its economy shrunk for the first time in a year in the first quarter of 2025 amid tariff threats. A new wave of scam text messages and emails impersonating Australia Post is sweeping the country. They claim a delivery failed due to an invalid postcode, luring recipients into handing over personal information after clicking on links. The Postal Service says to only trust official communications through the AusPost app. Online gambling provider PointsBet Australia has paid $500,000 spam penalty after breaching e-marketing and gambling self-exclusion laws. It follows investigations by the Australian Communications and Media Authority, which found emails were sent containing links to its betting products without an unsubscribe function in 2023. 500 messages of marketing were also sent to people who had signed up with the National Self-Exclusion Register, which under law must not be sent marketing from licensed wagering services. PointsBet says it self-reported the failure, is strengthening its compliance processes, and that no customers registered with the NSER were able to log in or place a bet. Well, in the lead up to the International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia and Transphobia tomorrow, securities exchanges around the world have been ringing the bell for LGBTIQ+ equality this week. From markets in Canada to the UK, and a less extravagant event here. 7 exchanges are participating, with markets in Germany and Mexico taking part next week. It's designed for the financial and business community to raise awareness of inclusivity, and follows a report this week, Anton, which showed just 4 LGBTIQ+ directors are on the boards of ASX 300 companies.